First, there was the Spark 40. Next came the Spark Mini. And finally, the Spark Go. But today, I'll be looking at something completely different. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and open up the new Spark cab. Now, the first thing you're gonna see is some accessories. I don't know what's in here, but we'll figure that out. So we got a little accessories box. I'm assuming it's like the power cable and that kind of stuff. And here we go. Oh boy. And that's a look at the back side. Let's get the box out of the way. Check this thing out. It's the Spark cab. Right, now inside the accessory box, we of course have the power cable for the unit. We've got a secondary power cable right here, because they've done some pretty clever stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we've got an additional 1/8" cable. So what exactly is the Spark cab? Well, it's to take your existing amp and make it giggable. Now, I've got the Spark 40 on top here. Obviously, it looks really, really good together. The proportions are designed, to be a head in the amp look. But I've always said the Spark 40 could be a giggable amp. It could be a rehearsal amp. If you've got like a chill, jazz trio and the drummer's using brushes and mallets and that kind of stuff, or if you're just doing like a super chill, like coffee shop gig or something like that, the Spark 40 is like borderline. If you have the right amp and the right musicians you're playing with, you could probably do some gigs. With the Spark cab, it doesn't matter who you're playing with, doesn't matter the genre you're playing, doesn't matter if you've got a 6-piece band. This is gonna make it loud enough that you can have it as a rehearsal amp, as a gigging amp. So that's the whole point, and it works with any, Spark. So you don't need to use the Spark 40. You can literally use the Spark Go, slap it on there or hide it behind, whatever you wanna do, and you'll have all the same tones because they've got the same engine in them. They use the same, editing software, all that kind of stuff. So you can literally put your Spark Go on there and have this cab screaming and, have it as a perfect giggable amp. So here's a quick look at the back panel of the Spark cab. There's some clever stuff going on here. As I mentioned, they include an 1/8" cable. So that's how you're gonna connect your Spark to the Spark cab, just like that. So that's nice that they included it. And like I said, plug it into your Spark Go, plug it into the 40, the Mini, whatever, and you're gonna get some, some pretty blasting tones through the Spark cab. That's the whole point of it. This section here, super clever. So glad they added that. So check it out. It's a power out section, or charge out, they call it. So if you, have a Spark product that runs off USB, well, plug it in, turn your cab on, and guess what? It's gonna power your, Spark amp, or your Spark head, shall we say. So that means it's never gonna die mid-set, mid-rehearsal, anything, because the cab here is actually gonna be charging, your Go, your Mini, or your 40, which is awesome. So you've got charging options, so you're never gonna run out of, battery, or you don't have to run multiple cables just to do this. You just run from the cab to your Spark head and off you go. Some really nice features here. So you got your speaker output on the back so you can control the volume of your cab. You've got a contour knob there. We'll try that out. And then you've got some combo inputs, which is really nice. XLR/1/4", which means you can plug a bunch of different sources through here. So that's awesome. It's not just necessarily for your head, for like your Spark 40, Spark Mini, Spark Go. You can plug other things in there, which is awesome. And then you've also got a line out, XLR line out, for going to a PA system, for recording direct, or anything like that, which is a nice professional feature, and then a ground lift. So the back panel and the ins and outs, very, very clever, very convenient. So really well thought out. Love the grab handles here as well. And then on the front, it's very clean. So those are some of the basic features of the Spark cab. I'll link to it down in the video description below for full specs. Let's plug this thing in because I want to know what it sounds like. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and find out what the cab sounds like. I'm gonna be using a Les Paul today, and I've got a condenser mic just dead center, and a little bit of crunch, no effects on with the Spark. That's it, just basically some crunch. Let's try that. Yeah, so first impressions, I've got the volume at about 1/4. That's really all I'm gonna want in this space. It's very, very loud. Tons of bass frequencies. It definitely has, you know, a full range. Let's go ahead and switch to maybe more of a like a lead tone here. Maybe add some delay maybe. Yeah, really nice. Let's try with the bridge pickup. Yeah, so like all the tapped harmonics, all that kind of stuff works really, really well. Let's go ahead and try even higher gain here. All right, and let's try some clean. Go back up to the neck pickup here. So here are my final thoughts on the Spark Cab. Interesting product for sure. Number one, volume. This thing is loud. Now in my studio space here, which is not a massive space, you know, I didn't want to turn it up more than 1/4. That was plenty for me playing by myself. And I'm like, yeah, that's all I want to go. But I could see, you know, in a bigger space with like drums, you know, bass, a couple guitars, that kind of thing, you're going to want the volume. This thing is loud. But yeah, just playing by myself, 1/4 was plenty. So it's got volume. Number two, the cleverness that the cab will power whatever head or, you know, spark unit you put on top of it. I love that. So there's no tangle, there's no fuss, anything like that. So super clever that it'll power, you know, whatever unit you want. Keeps things super clean. And number three, the aesthetics. It all matches. So other than the Spark Go, which has that rubberized finish, which I really like, the Mini and the 40 all have like the Tolex with like the gold piping, and clearly, as you can see, the cab matches that. So, you know, they've designed it to all go together. I've got the Pearl, which is the white one, but if you've got the original Spark 40, it all just looks perfect. So they've taken the aesthetics into account for sure, and the ins and outs are great. So it's not proprietary necessarily. Obviously, it's made to power and work with a Spark unit, but like a mic, a keyboard, you know, whatever else, you can plug it in and have it as like a powered cab, which is really cool. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I will link to the cab down in the video description below. You can check it out, full specs and pricing down there. Other than that, have yourself a great day. Take care.